Okay, so maybe you watch my video on Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay First Edition, you want to pick it up, you go over the Ttrpg, and you're like, okay, cool, here's the PDF, I'll get it. Unfortunately, it's not available in print, like I said. I would tell you to go ahead and get this too. It's also available only in PDF. Maybe one of these days we'll get print on demand, but I doubt it. Apocrypha now is what it's called, a companion volume for game masters and players for Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay First Edition. I read the hell out of this book. I used it a ton at the table. As you can see, it started pulling up here from the edge, so I contact papered it. It's just so valuable on the table. It's about 120 some pages, I think like 127 or so. And it's just a hodgepodge of all sorts of different rules, options, more careers, some adventures, NPCs, locales. It's just a great book, and obviously something that they decided to put together to just kind of give you a little bit more options as well as maybe clarify some rules. So let's go through it. We've got the table of contents here. So rules, non-humans, people and places, and we're going to go through these different sections. So you got a little bit of some fiction there that you can read, and then it's going to talk about the rules. So it's got more explanation about skills and careers and how to train, switching between different careers. Kind of some of the issues that I had with Warhammer Fantasy that a lot of people have with the first edition is about jumping from careers and making it, make sense. And so they do a good job here of explaining that. What skills are what types, such as innate, intellectual, personal, or practical, ones that could be practiced, ones that could be trained. And learning from a tutor, which they give you a sample tutor here. So a great thing here just to kind of explain more about the skills. You've got a section on nobility and royalty. If you want to continue on with the noble basic career, you can look at this section here, get some new skills, it explains it more in depth, and then get an advanced career where you continuously go up and rank in nobility, becoming maybe a knight, a baron, a count, a duke, and a grand duke. Very cool if you want to continue on that path. Then you've got a section here on social standing. It's a very neat path, very neat section for with your career's class and standing. How when you've got a beggar who's a D and a druid who's a B, how they have a different kind of class structure, and then the standing within each of those classes. So if you have two people like that are bodyguards, how they interact with one another. So it's a very strong section in the book that's fun to kind of add to see where your career lines up with the other ones. And dealing about changing your character, illegal careers, a whole bunch of stuff here, how the cults might modify stuff. Very good section, and it's pretty good and lengthy. Also, intimidation is cool. Careers that inspire fear in people or distrust. And so these certain type of careers marked with F, they can intimidate people. Very cool. So a section here on fate points, explaining more about them, how to deal with them in combat, traps and accidents, poison and disease, how you get them. Very helpful. And then the main section that I originally got the book for was this. So it's going to talk to you a little bit about initiative again, kind of go over that, and it's going to tell you about effective initiative. And in essence, what you do is you roll a d6, and on a 1 to 3, the PCs get a kind of a jump on their enemies. On a 4 or 6, the enemies do, and then you roll a d10, and that's added to the initiative of whoever got the bonus. So it allows for those times where maybe a player has initiative of 50 and the enemy has 49, and it's going to have a little bit of randomness in the reaction. So definitely kind of reminds me a little bit of D&D or something like that, where you have kind of this randomness when it comes to how quickly you react. How to deal with multiple attacks. In essence, you're going to, if you've got 3 attacks, you're going to cut down your effective initiative 3 times. So if you've got, like here it shows examples, got an ogre has got 2 attacks and their initiative is 30, so they'll get 1 attack at 30 and 1 attack at 15. Very easy, but really helpful to use. There's a simplified system for that as well, but I really like the more multiple attack system that they came up with. More inclusion of modifiers to hit for missile weapons, missiles, and melee combat. As you can see, optional rules and rules that maybe weren't in the main book that you wonder what to do when you come across those situations. Kind of nerfed unarmed combat because before it was a d6 minus 2 damage, which is the same as a dagger, and they explained that obviously a dagger or knife is not going to do the same amount as a punch. It's going to do a little bit more. how to fire into a group, and then fun sections here. Bombs, targeted blows, how to use a whip. Great section on critical fumbles now, so you've got tables for that, for the different type of categories. And then you've got a section on firearms, dealing with all the different types, their damage, just really going through it more, running out of gunpowder, reload times, and stuff like that, as well as misfires, advanced misfires for firearms. Very helpful. This section here on magic items is fantastic, and I used it all the time. I'd never used the one in the book once I got this, the main book once I got this, because it has random magic items and it's got new ones, and of course they made a new table for you to use all of them. The one in the book, you know, the items that are in the book, and the items that are in this book. And so you kind of have to jump between the two, but it's still so much worth it, as this gives you, you know, some fun magical items and weapons, as well as armors as well. So it kind of just buffs up those different types of equipment and items, and I think is very good. Now here's a great section, non-human psychology. So it tells you about how elves are, what their mentality is, and their psychology, obviously. And I love the fact that elves might have some, you know, fancy trinket that's worth a lot of money, it's very valuable, but they might just get tired of it and just give it away without, you know, at just a whim. I think it's very interesting, and I would tell you that if you're going to have a player play an elf, they need to read this section and understand how an elf's mind works. It's not going to be the same as just any other person. And that's going to go for all these different non-humans, because you want to give them the respect that they deserve and that they are. And I love the fact that dwarves will just tell a story and then be like, oh yeah, and I got this whenever I killed like 4 trolls. Like, very nonchalant about their great feats of combat. That's just one of the aspects of their mind, but it's just a great look into how they work. And of course, you've got halflings, and then you say, oh, look at this, we got gnomes. So if you like gnomes, I like gnomes. I know some people don't, but I do. Here's your whole gnome NPC. If you want to play them, as well as their skill chart, and determining their basic career based off of the 4 different categories. Very, very good. If you want to add gnomes to your game, you've got Dwarf Lore Master, the Elven Beast Friend, which of course is going to be kind of like a Beast Master, different type of, you've got advanced schemes for different type of animals, bear, boar, hawk, horse, things like that. Going into the god Karnos, the Lord of Beasts, that the Beast Friend is going to worship. So very neat. And then you've got Elven Wardancers. Now they didn't just give you them because they're so different. They give you a little bit of fiction here, but they also give you a small scenario, little scenario introducing the character career into the game to your players. So that's very helpful to kind of introduce them to that. And then it's going to go and give you the actual Wardancer career. They're very strong, and they get they're really great in combat with a lot of flourishing attacks, dancing, war chanting, whirling death, I like the name of that. So it's just a really neat career. And then you've got some kind of weird, you know, when I was reading this book, I was like, when I first got it way back in the day, I was like, this is kind of interesting. Kind of a weird section here. Is there a doctor in the house? So this is, in essence, a doctor, and a fully fleshed out NPC, should you need one for your game, as well as his clinic and cost of treatment and stuff like that. But it's just, as you can see, this is definitely the first section where I was like, well, this definitely is a hodgepodge of stuff, but still very helpful for you. Again, fully fleshed out his clinic there. And then some adventure hooks and how to, you know, that you might encounter maybe at his clinic with some different people having some different problems. So pretty sweet. And then you get this section here on medical treatment, how to repair the body from terminal bleeding to amputated limb tables. It's, you know, granted, it adds a little bit of crunch, but it's fun. You know, it's fun to kind of roll this stuff up and see what happens. Then you've got an encounter, you got 2 encounters here on these 2 NPCs on the road. And then you've got this luxury river liner. And this is kind of like just spotlighting this big riverboat here. So, like I said, it's very much just a kitchen sink type thrown in of stuff. Fully fleshed out the crew and the captain and stuff like that, merchants, as well as adventure ideas for this river liner. And then you've got the Great Hospice. So kind of piggybacking on the doctor, you've got this hospice here. Again, map laid out if in case you're in need of healing. And there's some new insanity disorder with delusion. There's new treatments. And then here we're going to get into Night of Blood. Now, Night of Blood is a small adventure, and I have ran this many times introducing people to Warhammer Fantasy First Edition. In my opinion, it's a great way to show people what the game's all about. I'll kind of be spoiling it here for you, but it's real easy. You get attacked on the road, it's raining, and you come across an inn. The Hooded Man Inn. Unknown to the players, the inn has been taken over by cultists. They have killed the people that are in there, and they are now masquerading as the innkeeper and the patrons of the inn. You've got mutants, and then underneath the place is a cellar where you can see here there is a temple to an evil demon, and they're going to have kind of a scary night trying to figure out what's going on in this place. Obviously, something's afoul, and it's just a great adventure. There's something about it with the rain and the inn and introducing the characters and then finding the mutants. It's great. And then you got A Rough Night at the Three Feathers. It's a short adventure, but it's all about time management, these things and events that happen in this place. And honestly, I've never really read it. It's not really super interesting to me, but I bet it's probably pretty good. And has a deep, 9:10 p.m., 9:20 p.m. So you have all these different things that happen at a certain timeline. And I've never ran it, but like I said, I bet it's pretty sweet. And then let's see what else we got here. Continuing on with that, concluding the adventure. And then you got the conversion rules for getting into a role, it says, from Warhammer Fantasy Battles to Warhammer Roleplay. And then converting back and forth. I don't know how useful that's going to be at this point, so it's a little bit of a dated section. But back in the day, it was probably pretty cool. And then a little bit more fiction, and then I like this, gives credits for each one of these sections and where they came from, be it from Games Workshop's White Dwarf, or to just any, like here, the Warhammer Companion, and then Night of Blood was in White Dwarf 87, which, like I said, it's a fantastic starter adventure for new players. So there it is, Apocrypha now. There's actually a second volume that I might do a video of in the future, but if you're going to pick up Warhammer Fantasy First Edition, on Ttrpg, pick this up as well, the PDF for that, and because it's just nothing but good stuff that's in there. The second companion is also useful. I don't think it is as useful as this one, but it's also quite good. So there it is. I'm happy I've still got my copy. Just a lot of great information in here, and a great options and clarifications of rules for the game. So there it is. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and look forward to making the next one for you. Thank you.